everybody that I've ever trained with this, everyone who ever took this, at some point stopped me and said, "I know that already." You see, it's kind of weird for myself to, to tell you, well, this is how you should write. But I'll give you a little fun fact on this. I was told by the owner of Voice 123 that the main reason he hired me in 2007 was because of the way that I wrote. When I applied to work for Voice 123, he had asked me, I guess it was sort of the callback, if you will, of job interviews. He asked me to listen to demos on the website and then describe what I thought was wrong with them and what was right with them. And also he wanted me to describe my experience as quality assurance, as a quality assurance person with AIG, which is where I was working on Wall Street. And I wrote him back a very direct and insistent reply, and I described what I was hearing in the demos. And he just straight up said to me, he said, "I love the way that you write." And really, I think since day one, or from day one of Voice 123, I was always proofreading something. I was always looking at emails from the top all the way to the top, all the way, down to customer support for grammatical issues. Now, to give some props to the teaching community out there, my mom is an English teacher, and in my household growing up, I was simply not allowed to speak or write in a grammatical way that was going to offend her. So there is that sort of thing that comes with it. It's sort of an arrogant thing to say, "I'm going to teach you how to write," but it does come from somewhere, and I don't do this to insult anybody's intelligence. And you'll see what I'm talking about as I go through this. Now, more about this. This was a training that was taught to me by lawyers, who I then taught to high-paid executives. So if you can imagine somebody making six figures in a business suit with me standing in front of them, and if you knew me, you'd see me. I'm only 5'6", kind of young and boyish looking, and I'm standing in front of these really wealthy guys, telling them how they should write emails to the lawyers that they speak with. Very interesting experience. If you know me from Voice 123, you know my writing style and not my real voice. Now, there's a reason for that. Now, I actually made the decision 6 years ago when I was working there. I said to everybody, I said, "I'm going to communicate mostly through email." And they said, "Why would you do that? Why would you not want to answer phones?" I actually made that decision because of how young I sound. Now, I'll turn 40 next, I think in August, but I sound very young. And I knew that my writing skill was much, much, much stronger. So that sometimes I've learned over the years that if you write a certain way, people can think of a voice that they're hearing as they are reading something. That's an interesting thing that we do, but really what I was noticing over the years is that I had this ability to write a certain way that made people think I was completely or that I would sound like somebody else, because the second they got me on the phone, they'd always say, "How old are you? How old are you?" And I realized, I said, you know what, I'm going to stick to writing. Sort of, I seem to get more done that way. Now, the other thing about this, I always used email writing as a skill to help voice talent get paid. It's really something I'm proud to say. I took it from something I learned at AIG, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. I've also been guilty of the very things today that I'm going to warn you against. Believe me, it happens to everybody. And if I say anything during this that makes you think, I already know this, or it makes you think, "Oh, Jesus, I've done that maybe a few times," don't worry about it, okay? Believe me, we all do things in emails that we wish we could take back. But with that said, just moving forward, I want to get through this part because I think that this is kind of like the part that you hear it, you think you maybe know it, but let's just get through it.